everyone, and welcome in to the Full 10 Yards Betting Podcast. Merry Christmas to one and all, season's greetings, and all the other cliches that you want to shake a stick at. We are pretty much reaching the end of the regular season now, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty much ready for playoff football. I think it's about that time in my eyes. I don't know how you boys feel, but Adam, welcome in to you. How you doing? You all ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I was going to be wearing an elf hat today, actually, but it's in the wife's car, and I couldn't be asked going out because it is horrible weather. One of our fence panels fell down. We have a gigantic fence panel, so that's going to be fun trying to put that back up tomorrow. But other than that, finished work, all done for the year now until 2nd of January, so that's nice. Previously, being a postman, December was absolutely hideous, but new job this year means that I get to finish about half day today, and yeah, all looking forward
Do
to
you,
Christmas now. And
do you chuckle at all the, or not chuckle, but do you laugh at, or you smirk at all the postmen going around now?
I did see one of them in Tesco doing our shop the other day, and he said he's working obviously today during 60-mile-an-hour winds, and then Saturday as well. So yeah, do feel a little bit sorry for him, but yeah, he had a chance to get out as well.
Yep. And Liam, have you been a good boy this Christmas? You going to get some presents, or the Chiefs going to get any wind anytime soon, or like any momentum back?
Well, I might get a Kadarius Tony mask or something from someone as a joke in Secret Santa.
Oh,
That'll be quite fun.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll find out on when is it? Monday. If I've been good, we'll see. But yeah, I'm similar to Adam. I've broken up from work now. I'm not laughing at any postman like Adam is, but I'm I'm off work now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My team's got pretty awful game times for the two festive seasons with Christmas and New Year's. So that sucks, but at least there's some good times I can watch some games. And yeah, we'll see. I'm going away for Christmas, so the NFL will be my breakaway where I don't have to be with the in-laws for the whole week.
No, fair enough. And like I say, if anyone out there that does get annoyed with the in-laws or get annoyed or get some humbug or lack of Christmas spirit, there's plenty of NFL across Christmas to get your teeth into. Starting off, of course, tonight, Thursday Night Football, as we always do. New Orleans travel to the LA Rams. LA Rams kind of not necessarily on a bit of a streak, but they've put a few good performances together and they've got themselves in the thick of the playoff race. So that's why they are minus 3.5 point favourites at home, 1-2 on the main line, 13-8 for New Orleans, who should have the full complementary of offensive skill players back, Shaheed, Olave, and all the rest of them. But the over-under here is 45.5, which is kind of a stick your neck out kind of line. It's one of those where defenses have kind of ruled the roost for both teams, or you think they kind of do over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of years. But I think there should be enough firepower, Adam, on both sides offensively to kind of make it an interesting game. Should be a fun game though.
Yeah, should actually be finally a fairly decent Thursday night game. So no doubt it'll be a blowout one way or the other, or a serious injury will hit because that seems to have been happening in most of them. But no, I like the Rams. They've been playing good football recently. Since Kyron Williams returned, he's racked up about 500 yards in his 4 games since he came back. Only lost that one game, the overtime game against Baltimore, which was actually a pretty good result given the quality of the Ravens this year. They blew out, essentially, they blew out the Commanders this weekend. There was a couple of late scores for Jacoby Brissett. But yeah, other than that, they've played really good football. The passing game obviously is great with Cooper Kupp and Puka. Matt Stafford's probably playing the best football he has in a couple of years. As I say, Kyron Williams being there is outstanding for them. He's they have a very good run game and he does it well. The Saints. I don't feel the Saints have been as bad as their fans do. Their fans seem to hate their team at the moment, but Derek Carr moves the ball up and down. They just can't convert in the red zone, which has been the issue for them. But they've got Jimmy Graham in the game now, so they'll be able to score as many as they want with him. Who seems to make one or
Rolling
two
it back
catches a game.
10 years ago.
Yeah, it's fairly absurd. He is 13-2, I think he was to score tonight, which, in fairness, I was a little tempted with. But no, obviously Kamara can still run the ball well. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Derek Carr is Derek Carr. He is who he always has been. So I don't know why they're getting so irate about it. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning to the Rams covering this one on the spread.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's one of those. I did find it difficult to try and go either way on the spread or on the total points line. So I have gone for a few props that I like, which I'll get to in a minute. But Liam, what are your thoughts? Because I think we agree on our best bet for the game.
Yeah, I'm similar to Adam. That I would lean with the Rams on the spread. I don't love 3.5, just with the way that McVay can kind of slow the game down a little bit and take field goals. He won't go for it on fourth down, so it might be closer than you'd like it to be. But I do favour them. I do favour the over as well in the game, just because the Rams' defense has kind of gotten worse throughout the season. They started okay, and now they are proving to be Aaron Donald and a load of nobodies, kind of like we all thought they were going to be. So I do favour the over as well. But yeah, my best bet is Cooper Kupp over 6.5 receptions. Goes over this basically in every single game he plays, as long as he plays the full game. So it's kind of, if he finishes the game and Stafford finishes the game, then you're probably going to win this bet, just because he's used so much. Every time Stafford plays, that's his go-to guy. They will run the ball a lot with Kyren Williams, but when they're throwing it a lot to Cooper Kupp. So yeah, I think that's a good bet. And I think the Rams are playing well as well. So I quite like watching them. So I do hope they get in the playoffs, because there's a couple of teams in that NFC race that I'm not as fond of watching. So I'd like to watch some fun football. But I will add, I think the Carr hate is quite warranted this year, because every time I watch him, it's just check down. And he just didn't do that as much in Vegas. But yeah, he's doing that every week for this lot. So I can see why the fans are annoyed at the Saints, but they might get in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah, but the problem is that if you've got games where Olave's not playing, or you've got games where Shahid's not playing, I mean, there's not you're trying to, what is it, Kirkwood, and you can't, if you haven't got the players stretching the field, you haven't got the guys. Yeah, Michael Thomas obviously he's on IR. He's done he's not that he's done necessarily too much over the last couple of years. But if you've not got the guys to throw it to, I don't necessarily understand where you can kind of go. Juwan Johnson flashes up every now and again, and Foster Moreau or whatever. But over 6.5 receptions for Cooper Kupp is my best bet. You can actually get 11 to 10 on Sky Bet. I know you got on our sheet here 5 to 6. So 11 to 10 on Sky Bet was quite appealing. He's done it in his last two, and I think the last two games it's kind of been a bit more. When he came back from his injury, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua was still getting the target, still getting the yardage. But I think now that Cooper Kupp, maybe he needed a couple of weeks to warm up, reacclimatise to the NFL. So yeah, I'm quite happy to over 6.5 in what could be a high scoring game. Not necessarily a negative game script for the Rams, but I don't necessarily think that it matters to them a little bit where maybe Kyren gets a bit more involved in the passing game if they're behind. But Cooper Kupp's targets are always going to be there, because Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp just have that connection. The other one I looked at was Kyren Williams over 19.5 rush attempts. He's done it in 4 of the last 5, and they do funnel. I know Royce Freeman gets the odd touch here or there, but they do tend to just give Kyren Williams the ball. And if it is a game where they do get up, they do hand him the ball a bit more often. So I did think that was quite a nice line. And it is a high line considering this day and age, and running backs and amount of attempts that not all, there's only a handful of running backs that get kind of those amount of touches in total. But Kyren Williams is one of them, and I'm quite happy to take that.
Yeah,
okay,
he fumbled twice on Sunday,
he
and
did.
still got the ball.
Still got the ball. Yeah.
My bet for this game is just Jimmy Graham to have a catch. He's over 0.5, 10 to 17 it is now for him to have a catch. If you do want to go a little bit more exotic, then 13 to 2 at Boyle Sport for him to have a touchdown. He's done it every game in December this year.
Yes, indeed. Let's move over then to some couple of Saturday night football games. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Bengals are -2.5. Mason Rudolph, quarterback in there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, over under there 37.5. And then the Buffalo Bills, fresh off their, comfortable victory over the Dallas Cowboys at home. They travel to the Chargers in what looks to be another comfortable game, -12.5 there for the Bills on the handicap. Over under there is 44.5. Won't necessarily go into detail too much on these, but just kind of get your feelings and your leans for either of these games. Liam, start with you.
So yeah, I'd stay away from the total on the Chargers game, just because you have no idea what's going to happen with that offense. And now the Bills do run the ball a lot more. They could kill the clock in the second half, but I do think they'll cover the spread. It's a massive spread, so I wouldn't really be betting it, but my lean would be that they would still cover it. The other game, I just like Bengals to cover, Bengals to win. Mason Rudolph's playing, so I'm just out on the Steelers. And they're a team that normally wins these games when they shouldn't, and Tomlin gets his teams up, but he hasn't done that for 3 weeks. They lost to two win teams, which he's never done in his career before. So I just don't think this team is that good. So yeah, I'd go the Bengals to cover in the other game, but again, I wouldn't touch the total. I think the totals for both games are bang on the money for the bookies. So I wouldn't go that way. But yeah, I like both both favorites to cover.
Fair enough. And resident Bengals expert, Mr. Touchdown Tips, as you can see, the Super Bowl flag behind him, shining brightly, shining proudly. You going for a Bengals win?
Logically, Liam's correct, but it's the Steelers at home as underdogs. Like,
no, we don't think logically on this podcast, Adam. So just throw that out the window.
Definitely not with Bengals against divisional opponents. They've lost every game against the division this year. They always lose against the Browns in division, but they have beaten the Steelers with backup quarterbacks before. Ryan Finley beat them, and Jake Browning is a lot better than Ryan Finley was. So, yeah, logically the Bengals should win, but there's just something about the Steelers. Obviously, I definitely wouldn't be betting the Bengals to win. Obviously, Chase is out as well. But they do have another Chase. Chase Brown has been very good recently since he's come in. The other game, again, I'm kind of with Liam on that one. Like, the Bills should win and cover. I've been trying to pick up Bills players for cheap in Dynasty Leagues this week because I think that's probably the easiest matchup of the slate this weekend for offenses. So, yeah, I think the Bills can put up as many points as they want, frankly. And the Chargers could be absolutely terrible. Obviously,
do we fancy a new manager bounce back for the Chargers, or reflect like an Antonio Pierce kind of rebound, or do we not just?
There surely must be some kind of bounce, but like the names of the people that they've got in are absolutely ridiculous. So on that factor alone, I will say no.
All right, easy as that. All right, let's move over to something. And if you are watching us live, or if you're watching us on YouTube or wherever you can find this visually, handicaps are running along the screen. Adam, we'll start with you. Best spread for the week.
Yeah, I've gone with Lions -3 at the Vikings. I didn't think that much of Nick Mullins last week. He was fine. He did a decent enough job, but he had stupid mistakes which cost him the game in the end. And the Kevin O'Connell cost him the game as well, frankly. So I do like the Lions to carry on. They know that a win here essentially seals the division. They're playing a divisional rival. It's inside, so we don't need to worry about Jared Goff and outsideness and cold and weather. And the Lions, obviously, we saw last week they put up 5 TDs against, Goff threw 5 TDs himself. So I think they'll deal fairly easily with the Vikings. I'm not really fussed about the Vikings defense, obviously. Has been very good recently, but you saw against the Bengals, it's not that great. And yeah, I'm frankly not that worried about the Vikings. So give me -3 for the Lions.
Yeah, I feel there's a couple of funny lines this week. New York Jets -3.5 was one that I can't be taking free. I can't be having the Jets as they don't score 10 points. How can you have them for a 3 point? I mean that'll appear in my totals best bet. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Tennessee +2.5. Seattle -2.5. I know they won. They're coming off Monday Night Football, but I'm going for Tampa Bay -1.5 versus Jacksonville. I think Tampa Bay are a bit frisky. Obviously, they've got the carrot of the NFC South. I know, obviously, Jacksonville got the AFC South carrot, and you've got Houston in Indianapolis, snap at their heels. But Trevor Lawrence still not at practice with concussion, so it'd be CJ Beathard. I think he's still going to be back up, isn't he? So, Tampa Bay at home. I know it's not too far to travel for Jacksonville because it's in the same state, but I just feel that the wheels are falling off Jacksonville a little bit, and Tampa Bay's defense isn't necessarily one that you want to be. If you're struggling and you don't have much momentum, you don't want to be going to Tampa Bay. I think we need to start giving Tampa Bay a bit of credit because I know going into the season that we all thought they were going to suck a little bit, and Baker Mayfield was just going to fall on his face at some point. Because I know those words came out of my mouth, but yeah, Tampa Bay -1.5. I mean, if you think they're going to win the game, what's 1.5? What's 1.5 points? But a couple of weird lines this week. Liam, what's your best bet for the week?
Yeah, by the way, I couldn't believe it when I saw the Jets line as well. When we did our preview podcast because of Christmas a day early for my pod, and I saw the line when I typed it up for everyone. And I was like, I honestly can't believe that it's -3.5. So in theory, we should all go Commanders +2.5, but I don't think any of us have. My best line is the one you spoke about. So I've gone Seahawks -2.5 against the Titans. I'm more confident about this line if Tannehill plays, which it seems to be leaning that way for the Titans. I just think the Seahawks are pretty good. Their offense is pretty good. The offensive line's finally healthy for the first time in the season. And then obviously then they go and beat Philly with a backup quarterback. So for me, Geno will play. All I've read this week is that he's going to play. So I just think this line should probably be 4.5 plus. So I'll just take the 2.5. I think they win the game. It could be close because Pete Carroll. He runs the ball too much and lets teams get back into the game sometimes. But they should win by a field goal. But yeah, that Commanders plus 3.5 is a good one as well. And I would say if you find out CJ Stroud's playing, I would try and bet Texans plus 2.5 on the day before the line changes. I wouldn't bet it now in case he doesn't play, because Case Keenum's terrible. But if they say CJ Stroud is playing, I would back that because I still fancy him against Joe Flacco, even though he's elite again.
Yeah, signs are that he's not going to go. I don't think CJ Stroud said he's unlikely, because I know there's some of my fantasy circles. There's a couple of people relying on him, but the other one that I didn't quite get was Chicago minus 4.5. It feels like a trap because they're playing Arizona, and Chicago's defense again I think is quite underrated. Jalen Johnson and the rest, and Montez Sweat obviously getting all the sacks since he's been traded over from Washington. But I know I've said to you guys in WhatsApp chats, Chicago, would always find ways to lose a game because it's in their interest to get a better draft pick. And I know they've got the number 1 overall draft pick because of courtesy of Carolina, but just taking Chicago minus 4.5 just feels like a bit of a trap. But Arizona themselves, Kyler Murray's got no one to throw to apart from James Conner and dump-offs and maybe Trey McBride. But I think Chicago's defense will have, especially at home, will have way too much for Arizona. But it just feels like a bit of a trap for me. So. That's all. That's kind of all I can go for. Okay, let's move over.
No talk about the two teams who can't beat teams with a winning record playing each other. Miami and Dallas.
I mean, we can talk about it if you want.
I just feel it's pretty much the biggest game of the week. I feel we need to at least have a mention of it, and I understand why we've completely stayed away from it, because I have absolutely no ability to call that game.
Here we go!
The weather's going to be fine there. The weather's going to be fine. Tyreek Hill's back for Miami probably, so... but yeah, neither team can beat a team with a winning record, so I'm really intrigued to see how it goes. To be fair, Tua did very well with without Tyreek Hill last week, but again, to be fair, he was playing the Jets, so it's difficult to get a proper kind of judgment of that. So that's the game I'm really interested in this week. But I do appreciate why we didn't mention it for betting purposes, because it's incredibly difficult.
No, it's definitely one of those. It's one of those to watch for kind of your clues for the postseason, or to kind of have a look at a barometer and say, okay, you kind of join the dots and say, oh, Miami beat this team, Dallas beat this team, or in X, Y, and Z. Like if there's similar opponents, if you like. And I certainly like the over, which we'll get, and obviously we'll get to. I might as well change it over now. Over 49.5, I think is probably the way to go if you're going to go there. But I think it's just one of those games where you sit back and watch. It'd be interesting to see how Dallas bounce back from that abysmal defeat. They kind of reverted to type of we'll either blow teams out or we'll get blown out. So they just decided to choose the latter last week against Buffalo and just got run all over, which is unusual for Dallas. But obviously Dallas away again. Be interesting to kind of see, let's say, how they bounce back. But I think it's just one to watch, to be honest. Minus 1.5 is just essentially a number, isn't it? It's not, It's pretty much, it's near a pick 'em on the money line, so I wouldn't necessarily go handicap either way, because it's not necessarily going to make much of a difference. If I
was going to bet it, I'd go the alt handy line, which is Cowboys minus 2.5, because I think the Cowboys are going to win. So I like them minus 2.5. So
stop swearing on this podcast.
I'm a Dolphins hater, I guess, but I think Dak's far too good compared to Tua. That I think they'll win that game. But we'll see. And also the defense for the Cowboys is still elite, whereas the Dolphins, it's just getting. I know it was good last week, but that was against the Jets, like we said. But throughout the season, it's just got worse and worse. So I fancy the Cowboys to win.
I think the one thing that's worth noting, obviously, with Philadelphia losing to Seattle, and obviously the Cowboys currently holding the 2 seed, that's quite the motivation to, not that they need it, but you wouldn't expect Philadelphia to have given up the lead that they had in the NFC East. So maybe it might be a seize the moment type of speech from Mike McCarthy, along with all the other crap that he spews out of his mouth. But at least he's got a few things there that he can say. Look, we're the 2 seed, got a chance at the 1 seed, or however unlikely that is because of the San Francisco 49ers and head-to-head records and whatnot. But it would certainly be interesting to see, especially because it's away from home as well. Obviously, we know what Dallas have been like at home this season. But gone off a bit of a tangent there, but we'll come back.
Sorry, one more thing just on the tangent. I will say, obviously, last week it was hideous weather in Buffalo. It was cold. And supposedly I think Dak has a surgically repaired hand. And he has something in there that in the cold, it doesn't work like it should, frankly. There's like some plate in there that does affect him when it's cold. It's going to be 76 degrees Fahrenheit in Miami and very little rain. So at least the weather should be palatable for him. However, I'm always going to take the AFC over NFC in any kind of matchup. So I would definitely be leaning to the Dolphins on it.
Sounds like me. I've got something that doesn't work in the cold, but enough about. We don't need to talk about that. We'll go back to over unders for the rest of the games. Adam, I'll start with you.
Now I've randomly gone for over over 41.5 in Raiders v Chiefs. Obviously they played a few weeks ago and it went way over 42 points. The Raiders have shown they can put up points as they did with 63 points last week. They've got 10 days. Will be 11 days rest. 10 days rest 11 days rest by the time this game comes around. I would assume they'd have Josh Jacobs back, although they might give Samir White another half game or so. And the Chiefs can put up points and they do dominate their division. So I thought it was a fairly low line for a game that I think will be quite high scoring. Yeah,
fair enough. Liam?
Yeah, that was going to be one of my lines, but I don't want to always pick. I don't want to pick my own team, so I've gone with Jags v Bucks over 42.5. I agree with what Tim said earlier. The Bucks offense is better than people thought. Godwin had his first big game of the season last week. Obviously, Mike Evans has had continual big games. Rashad White seems to catch every dump off in the world and take it for 10 yards. Even if he can't run the football very well, he can catch it. So I think the Bucks will score plenty of points. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I think it flies over. Even if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, I think Doug Peterson, really good coach, he'll do enough to get them enough points that you cover the over. So yeah, I quite like over 42.5. But I did like your under as well with one of the quarterbacks.
Oh, it's an absolute slam dunk. I mean, how they've got this as high as 36.5, I'll never know. This should be a 31.5 or 32, a low 30s. So yeah. For the Jets and Washington Commanders to be 36.5, I will snap your hand off for that. And I don't really need to say too much more. Obviously, you've got Trevor Siemian got a quarter. Is it Zach Wilson still? Is he out still? I haven't read the latest on. But is it, if it's Trevor Siemian again, that's
where it's leaning, yeah, apparently. And I don't know, Brissett maybe the other way as well.
Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I'd say the overs in Miami Dallas as well. I thought was a decent one, but yeah, nothing too much really outside that. Okie dokie, let's move on then to Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football. Oh, that's the wrong one. We want a picture, don't we? That might help, mightn't it? There we go. Not the greatest of games on the docket. New England Patriots travel to Mile High. It's not Mile High anymore, is it? But it's still Denver Broncos. So 6.5 point favourites there for the Broncos. Over under here, a lovely, huge 33.5. And Liam.
Yeah, this is a bad game. I'm not one of the people that have believed really the Broncos are playing well at all. I think it's a good coaching job, but the offense is awful to watch. So yeah, definitely not one that I'll be staying up for on. I think that'd be Christmas Eve, wouldn't it? That Sunday. But yeah, my best bet is over 34.5, just because I do think with how bad the two defenses can be in the red zone in the last 3 or 4 weeks that there'll be some points in this game. But really, it was just because I don't fancy the spread. There's not many individual players that you can bet. They just kind of move it around. Cortland Sutton touchdown, like it maybe, but I've gone with over 34.5 just because my number said it should be 37.5. So with 3 points there, I'll just go the over. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a pretty watch.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one. Similar to Thursday night football, it's a hard one to kind of. I don't necessarily have any leans over or under or on the spread either. So I've gone props again. So I've gone over Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions, which he's done 3 of the last 4. I know that, albeit they've all been 3 receptions. The other thing I looked at was the kind of unders on the passing yards for quarterbacks as well. They kind of have hit more often than not at the current lines that you can find them, and it doesn't project to be the greatest of games. It's going to be very cold. I think it's like, I think NFL weather had it as highlighted as cold and blue and whatnot. So
Slight chance of snow.
Slight chance of snow. Yeah. So I think Patriots defense might do enough to keep. I think Russell Wilson was 200 in the low 200s, and Zappi was 160 or 180 something, and that I can see Denver keeping him kind of under that as well. So, but yeah. So again, Adam, your thoughts?
Strangely enough, I went with over 34.5 with the same as Liam. I don't entirely know why I've done that, but I just felt like it could be a crazy game. Just one of those weird games where both teams actually do something. I would be leaning towards Samaje Perine over 14.5 receiving yards as well. He has done that in probably about 2/3 of the games this year. So just one if you did want a prop. But yeah, I don't honestly don't have much logic in that game. I hate the Patriots. I think they're terrible. They're an awful team to watch. I don't think the Broncos are that much better, other than, as Liam alluded to, Colin Sutton scoring a touchdown as he does most games. But yeah, and Hunter Henry, if you want to go for a double, Hunter Henry and Colin Sutton seems to be the 2 players to go to. You're probably up at 6-7 to 1 for them too, so might be worth it if you do want to go for something slightly bigger. But yeah, fortunately, we don't have to stay up for that at 1:10 in the morning on Christmas Day.
No, well, we'll all be in bed. In our country, we'll all be in bed waiting for Santa to come down our chimneys. So there's no need to stay up to watch this game. But we'll all stay up and watch Monday Night Football, won't we? I think, or Boxing Day football, if I can get the right bloody banner again. But there we go. It should be an absolute belter. The projected number 1 seeds for both the AFC and the NFC go at it as Baltimore travel to Levi's Stadium. San Francisco 49ers minus 4.5 points on the spread. Over under here 47.5. It was a Super Bowl not so long ago, wasn't it? It was the Harbaugh Bowl in New Orleans with the what was it called, with the blackout, wasn't it? So we'll see. It should be a fascinating one on both sides of the ball, how both offenses go against the opposing defenses. Liam, your thoughts?
Yeah, it should be a good game. I do fancy the over, to be honest, for the points. I do think this could be a bit of a barnstorm. I think we've had a few massive games this year that haven't quite lived up to it from a neutral perspective, because we do want to see points, or most people want to see points when these big teams match up. The line's been all over the place. It went up to 6 in America. Didn't get as high as that over here, but 5.5 I saw it at yesterday. So yeah, people are betting all over. There's a lot of money on this game. But for me, I do like the Ravens plus. It was 5.5, but even plus 4.5, I would take that. I just think they've got by far the better quarterback in the matchup, and that can be enough in these big games to help you win. And you don't even need them to win. You just need them to lose by a field goal, which I think they can do that. The 49ers have got a really good defense, but the Ravens defense is playing better. 49ers have got an okay offensive line. Ravens offensive line is actually playing better. They just got to try and kind of slow down those skill positions. But we'll see. But yeah, I like the over. I like the Isaiah likely overs as well for the game. He played really well last week, so I think Lamar Jackson will target him again. But yeah, my best bet was Ravens with the points.
Yeah, I was just I'm going to look up something whilst Adam, I'll hand it to you and give me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I'm the same as Liam. I do like the Ravens getting the points. As he said, it was 5.5 earlier. It seemed like it was going up. It's down to 5 on Bet365 now, and minus 4.5 at places that Tim's used. So the line is all over the place. I just think, again, as I say, I think the AFC versus the NFC generally comes down to the AFC, frankly. So I do think that the Ravens will have the quality to do it. Losing Keaton Mitchell, it's not a killer blow, but he was the spark to that offense. Obviously, he can take something to the house from nowhere, and he had 9 for 71, I think it was, at the weekend. So losing that does hurt them. Justice Hill isn't as good, and Gus Edwards is just a bruiser now. So that definitely hurts the run game. Passing game for the Ravens has been, I wouldn't say hit and miss, but it's not been reliable. So probably hit and miss. But it's difficult to see who gets the ball. The 49ers, I do think they are the best team in the league at the moment. Obviously, they get everyone wide open. wide open. Like half the touchdowns that are scored are players who are standing in 20 yards of space, it seems. Brandon Ayuk I would take to score this week because he didn't score last week. But yeah, with Debo back and with Trent Williams there, they've been unstoppable. It does make me laugh some of the teams my Bengals team have beaten this year compared to some of the teams they've lost against because they beat the 49ers, admittedly, without Debo and Trent Williams. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the Ravens +5-ish if you can get it. And yeah, it should be a hell of a game. I have no idea how I'm going to get permission or ability to stay up to watch it, but I'll do my best.
So what I was trying to look for was Justin Tucker points because I think he could nail a few field goals, and he'd normally be in the 6 or 7.5 point region. So I'd probably take the overs. Yeah, I'd probably take the overs on that because he could quite easily have 3. I feel like the Ravens kind of a bit more conservative and will kick the field goal because Tucker's automatic and it's 6.5. Give me the overs on that. The bet I've gone for is over 219.5 passing yards from Jackson for a number of reasons. Because he's such a better thrower of the ball than he has been in previous seasons. And whilst the San Francisco defense is decent, it's mainly all up front. Although I know that on the back end they've been pretty decent the last couple of weeks. But if there's a negative game script here, Lamar Jackson's going to be throwing the ball. He's found Odell Beckham the last couple of weeks for some long ones. So there's a bit of a ceiling there where it could fly over 219.5. So I just thought it was a bit maybe 20-30 yards a bit too low. So Adam, you want to mention something about Lamar?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson versus an unfamiliar opponents. So basically, any team that he doesn't play every couple of years, they struggle to defend him, and the Ravens because they play a completely different scheme to most other teams in the league. So just another reason to kind of push towards the Ravens covering the spread. Essentially, just obviously that they play a multi-run game, which no other team really does. Obviously, it's becoming a little bit more frequent now with so many rushing quarterbacks, but Lamar and the Ravens do it better than anyone.
Yeah, no, I just think I think the Ravens have been not disrespected, but maybe underestimated a little bit in this one, and the lines are a bit suppressed. I think there's, I'd say definitely over on the Justin Tucker points. I think, so I can see him getting elite 2 field goals. So, because I think this would be the kind of game where I think they'll want to maybe take some points and put some on the board, but obviously that goes out the window if San Francisco just put a beat down on them in the first half. The other thing that I looked at was second quarter total points over under there is 13.5. And the first quarter, hello, hang on.
That's me.
MVP, Lamar, MVP game. Sorry. So quarter points. I was just looking at quarter points. So first quarter points over under is 9.5. I think I like the over on that. Second quarter 13.5. I like the over on that. It's the same as the fourth quarter, which is 13.5. The only reason I would probably miss that is San Francisco have a habit of just blowing teams out, and just that could be kind of dead, and there's nothing left to play for in the fourth quarter. But projecting this game to be a close one and a bit of a shootout, I'd quite like betting the overs on each individual quarter, especially the first one, because San Francisco usually start off quite hot and score a touchdown in the first quarter, give it to McCaffrey. So over 9.5 seems maybe a bit low. But then I suppose if you go 10.5, you might want to bet the under. But that's just kind of the way the bookies do it. But that's kind of what I kind of see with the game.
Yeah, I like the first quarter over, especially. Both teams start pretty fast normally. So yeah,
and they're quite quick. They're quite quick-paced teams as well. So yeah. So there we go. Lovely stuff. Anyone got anything else I want to say before we get out of here?
We've got to do touchdowns.
Touchdown scores, of course. Yeah, of course. Okay, I've gone for Jalen Hurts. No prices up yet, but obviously he had two last week. But I quite like Dak at 9-2. It's the kind of game with a high scoring, projected high scoring game. One of those where just Dak might rush one in. He has had a propensity to rush a bit more this season, so I thought 9-2 wouldn't be too bad. It's the type of game where he might scramble out of the pocket and rush one in. So he was my pick. Liam, your selection?
Well, Virgin Bet has the touchdowns up for Philly, and Hurts is 11-20 on there. So.
Oh no, I'm not doing that. Give me Dak at 9-2.
I was going to say, might want to go off that one. That is an awful line. So I did like. I don't want to name this one because we spoke about the game just before, but I do like Odell 11-4. You could get better than that last week, but Virgin Sky, I don't think, had their game up yet. But from what I could see, the best line I found was 11-4 for Odell. But I've gone with Rashee Rice 29-20. I had no time today to look at any other games apart from the two that I cared about. So I've gone with Rashee. Obviously, gets a lot of targets for the Chiefs now in the end zone. They've ran 2 plays in 2 weeks now. One where he throws, he gets a throw from a running back, and there's another one where he was going to run a touchdown in basically, and then pitched it. So they're involving him more and more. He's getting like 10 targets a game now. So yeah, I still think the bookies haven't quite priced it right. I think he'll be evens come 2 weeks' time. So.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with that one. Yeah, Lionel, I like that. Adam, round us off.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think the Bills are going to score a hatful. They only had 7 completions last week in a needs-must game for them against the Cowboys. So I've gone with Stefan Diggs. He's above evens to score for the Bills against the Chargers, just because I think it'll even out a little bit with the passing game. Josh Allen won't need to do it all himself. They're playing a terrible team, so he should be able to move the ball around a bit. And Diggs, weirdly enough, he's only scored in 6 games this year, which is a bit of a down year for him. He scored 8 touchdowns, he had a hat trick, but yeah, I just think it will balance out a little bit more.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those games where you could be. It's like it's not necessarily a get right game, if you know what I mean, because obviously they've just smashed the Cowboys. But it's one of those games where they can keep all the people running their mouth. They can get them a touchdown, and they can do their celebrations and whatnot. So yeah, I don't mind that. It's probably a Gabe Davis game as well. I don't know what price Gabe Davis is, but I'm rooting for him in a couple of leagues. So okay, that is going to do it for this week's show. A quick recap then of what our selections are. Thursday Night Football over 6.5 receptions for me and Liam. Jimmy Graham to have a catch for Adam. Sunday Night Football, Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions for me, over 34.5 points for Liam and Adam. And then in Monday Night Football between the Ravens and the 49ers, over 219.5 passing yards for Lamar for me, and then Ravens plus 5.5 for Liam. A lot of agreed think tank selections this week, which is a bit worrying, but there we go. Then best spreads: Tampa Bay minus 1.5, Lions minus 3, Seattle minus 2.5. Over unders or totals: New York Jets and get the Washington Commanders under 36.5, Raiders Chiefs over 41.5, and the Jags Bucks over 42.5. And some touchdown scorers for considerations: Dak Prescott, Stephon Diggs, and Rashee Rice. And that is going to do it for Christmas, fellas. Wish you and everyone that is watching and listening and said hello to us or watched throughout the whole season so far. Very happy Christmas indeed. Hopefully we can you can get some winners to pay for some of those Christmas presents. Adam, Liam, wishing you a very happy Christmas. Where are you spending Christmas this year? What are you doing?
I'm going to Devon this year. To Solcombe in Devon, place where we got married. We're down there for a week, so should be nice. Hopefully the winds calm down for the drive tomorrow on the M5. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you. Adam?
Yeah, nice quiet one up here, to be honest. Just wife and child for Christmas Day, and then visiting family for the week between Christmas and New Year. So yeah, Merry Christmas to you both.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you all. Good luck with all your bets. Please gamble responsibly, and we'll see you next week. Ho, ho, ho. Here we go!